Hello and welcome to the Commander's Quarters, your Magic the Gathering source that helps you command your budget. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG Player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support. Hey everyone, Mitch coming in from the Commander's Quarters studio. Welcome to the show. Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me right back in. Or something like that. I'm not sure exactly how that quote goes. Anyways, spoiler season. Not done yet, apparently. Because recently we got even more leaks. I mean, I'm talking about 30 or so cards. My goodness, this is a ton of new cards to talk about. So, very early this morning I was working on that episode, and well, make sure you check it out because there's some very spicy cards in there. I mean, we got a new smuggler's copter, kind of, with a smuggler's buggy, which there's got to be a new, name for that, a new nickname. Someone come up with something great, please. But this episode is not about a vehicle. Well, it kind of looks like a vehicle, actually. With Syrix, Carrier of the Flame, that's right, we finally have a Phoenix Commander. So what exactly does this brand new exciting commander do? Well, let's jump into it to find out. Now, a while back, I did an episode on tribes that don't have a commander, that need a commander, and, well, okay, as you can see from this image, the actual thumbnail, we already have a squirrel commander now with Chatterfang. I think that back one actually is an elephant, and we have a couple of elephant commanders, or at least one out at this point. And then, of course, I mentioned a Phoenix commander would be absolutely fantastic, as many players are excited about that tribe and really, really want one, and now we finally have one again with Syrix, Carrier of the Flame. Syrix is a 3/3 Phoenix with flying and haste that costs 2 black-red. It has, at the beginning of each end step, if a creature card left your graveyard this turn, target Phoenix you control deals damage equal to its power to any target. And on top of that, whenever another Phoenix you control dies, you may cast Syrix, Carrier of the Flame from your graveyard. So, this Phoenix commander obviously interacts with Phoenixes. Phoenix Eye, what's multiples Phoenixes? Phoenix? I think it's just Phoenixes, I don't know. Anyways, it interacts with them in some very interesting ways. First up, Phoenixes are obviously known, like this one is, from going to the graveyard and coming back, arising like a phoenix, being reincarnated, etc., etc., etc. So with that first rare again at the beginning of each end step, not just your own, if a creature card left your graveyard, which typically in this kind of a deck would be a Phoenix, if you met whatever requirement for that Phoenix to get it back into play, cool, you can have target Phoenix you control ping something equal to its power. Now, of course, there are also ways to take even more advantage of that, and we'll talk about those here in a bit. But obviously, of course, like any Phoenix essentially, we can get this Phoenix back as well, and that happens whenever another Phoenix we control dies. So yeah, it's kind of like a revolving door of Phoenixes in a way. When one dies, we get this one back. Now, we do have to cast it, so you do have to pay for its mana cost, but we'll talk about some things that you can do with that. So yeah, this can be a pretty resilient commander, again, one that even if our opponents keep getting rid of it, we can keep getting it back. And of course, our Phoenix army is going to be resilient itself because many Phoenixes can do the same. Now, before we jump into the cards that work with this commander, really quick, in the description below, there's a link to the list of those cards, in case you want to pick up those cards sooner rather than later. Because when a new commander comes out and many players are excited about it, well, sometimes the demand for certain cards go up in price. So yeah, make sure you check that link out. And with that said, let's jump into the cards. First up, I do want to mention that there are certain Phoenixes out there that might work great in other decks, but might not work great in this one. Ironically, it's a Phoenix tribal deck where certain Phoenixes might not work all that well. So, for example, Arclight Phoenix is a 3/2 Phoenix with flying and haste, and it costs 3 in a red. It says, at the beginning of combat on your turn, if you've cast 3 or more instant and sorcery spells this turn, return Arclight Phoenix from your graveyard to the battlefield. So, obviously, in some sort of a spell slinger deck where you're going to be casting a ton of instants and sorceries, yeah, you can meet that requirement very easily, and you keep getting this back again and again and again. But yeah, in a deck built around this commander, you probably won't be also just throwing in Spell Slinger as well on top of, Phoenix Tribal, or at least I'd say the vast majority of these decks won't be. So yeah, it can be very difficult to get this Phoenix specifically back. So just keep in mind that just because this is a Phoenix tribal deck and this is a Phoenix and there are only so many Phoenixes out there, well, that might not mean that it's a right fit for the deck. So ensure that, your Phoenix return requirements can be met with your deck. And yeah, I mean, if you have to make some tough cuts and not include certain Phoenixes because of that, do so. Now, one Phoenix that is absolutely perfect for this deck, though, is Skyfire Phoenix. It's a 3/3 Phoenix with flying and haste that costs 2 red, and it says, when you cast your commander, return Skyfire Phoenix from your graveyard to the battlefield. So this works incredibly with our commander. Again, whenever any Phoenix dies, say including this one, we can cast our commander. Now we do have to pay for our commander's cost, but yeah, we pay our 4 mana or whatnot, we get our commander back into play, and well, we cast our commander as well, and Skyfire Phoenix is in our graveyard, so this comes back into play for free. So yeah, in combination with our commander, this can be very good. Again, you can just keep getting this out again and again and again, and keep getting your commander out again and again and again. And I'm sure there are plenty of ways to go infinite with this, and I'll actually talk about some, different combinations of cards that can really help get you a lot of value. Maybe not go infinite, but a lot of value. But yeah, I'm sure someone is going to want to break this Phoenix kind of combination. And of course, there are plenty of other great Phoenixes out there that can be recurred pretty easily with things like, Rekindling Phoenix or Lightning Phoenix or Phoenix of Ash. Rekindling Phoenix says, when it dies, you create a 0/1 red elemental creature token with, at the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice this creature and return target card named Rekindling Phoenix from your graveyard to the battlefield. It gains haste until end of turn. So this one actually can keep recurring itself, essentially for free, as long as you can keep that 0/1 red elemental creature token into play until your next upkeep. And then Lightning Phoenix is a 2/2 with flying and haste, and it can't block, and it says at the beginning of your end step, if an opponent was dealt 3 or more damage this turn, you may pay red. If you do, return Lightning Phoenix from your graveyard to the battlefield. Obviously, in a deck with a ton of hasty flyers, this can be a very easy requirement to meet, especially since your commander can help you ping something, or someone, for some damage as well. And then Phoenix of Ash is a 2/2 with flying and haste, which you can actually pump by paying 2 in a red and give it +2/+0 until end of turn, but it also has escape, pay 2 red, exile 3 other cards from your graveyard, and it's going to escape with a counter on it. So by getting other cards into your graveyard, you can actually utilize those to help get this back out. And just to name a few more of these Phoenixes to utilize with your commander, let's talk about Warcry, Flamewake, and Sunstreak. Warcry Phoenix is a 2/2 with flying and haste that says, whenever you attack with 3 or more creatures, you may pay 2 in a red. If you do, return Warcry Phoenix from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped and attacking. Again, with an aggressive deck like this one, where you're looking to get out flying and hasty creatures, well, just keep attacking and get this back out. Moving on, Flamewake Phoenix is a 2/2 with flying and haste that is going to attack each turn if able. And it's got Ferocious at the beginning of combat on our turn. If we control a creature with power 4 or greater, we can pay red. If we do, return it from the graveyard to the battlefield. Now, unfortunately, our commander does not have 4 power, so we can't just meet that requirement there, but of course there are other Phoenixes out there, or other ways to pump our Phoenixes to make sure that we can meet that requirement. And of course, one Phoenix we can consider that does have 4 power is Sunstreak Phoenix. It's a 4/2 with flying and says if it's neither day nor night, it becomes day as Sunstreak Phoenix enters the battlefield. And whenever day becomes night or night becomes day, we can pay 1 in a red. If we do, return Sunstreak Phoenix from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. So when it's flipping back between day and night, depending on, if no spells are cast or if 2 spells are cast in a turn, we can keep getting this back. But yeah, outside of these Phoenixes that I'm mentioning, there are others to consider as well, of course. And other cards to consider are going to be cards like Shared Animosity, Gratuitous Violence, and Berserker's Onslaught. Shared Animosity is an enchantment that says whenever a creature you control attacks, it gets +1/+0 until end of turn for each other attacking creature that shares a creature type with it. So yeah, this card can be incredibly impactful in this deck for a couple of reasons. Obviously, in a tribal deck like this one, especially one with hasty, evasive creatures, you're going to be swinging out a lot with them. So you swing with a ton of Phoenixes and they get pumped a lot and you hit your opponents for a ton of damage. But on top of that, obviously, again, when you get your commander's trigger, again, at the beginning of each end step, if a creature card left your graveyard this turn, target Phoenix you control deals damage equal to its power to any target. When you get that trigger, the more power that Phoenix has, the more damage you are dishing out. Now, you can also dish out more damage with that trigger or again through combat with Gratuitous Violence. It says if a creature you control will deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals double that damage to that permanent or player instead. So yeah, doubling up your damage is obviously going to be a very good thing for this deck, and Berserker's Onslaught can help us somewhat do that as well. This one says attacking creatures you control have double strike, so yeah, hit twice as hard in combat. And also, kind of with that first strike damage, essentially protect your creatures as well in some way. And of course, like I mentioned earlier, there are some ways to kind of make your commander cost a little bit less, and ways to take advantage of being able to get your Phoenixes back and their different, return abilities. Now, I will mention that Phyrexian Altar is incredibly expensive. Ashnod's Altar is pretty expensive as well, and I think Heartless Summoning is around like $3 or $4 at this point, unfortunately. But still, if you got the budget for these are considerations for this commander. Phyrexian Altar says sacrifice a creature at 1 mana of any color. So yeah, I mean, if you've got ways to get your Phoenixes back pretty easily, well, you can just utilize those Phoenixes to get your commander back from your graveyard as well and get mana out of that. Ashnod's Altar says sacrifice a creature at colors to your mana pool, so it is somewhat similar again, but helps pay for a little more mana for certain spells, obviously, but doesn't help you fix your mana. And then Heartless Summoning is another card that you're going to want to consider depending on what direction that you take this deck. Again, if you really want to kind of try to combo off, maybe by entombing that one Phoenix that comes back with your commander, great, Heartless Summoning is probably a card that can really help you with that. It says creature spells you cast cost 2 less to cast, and creatures you control get -1/-1. Now, obviously, that -1/-1 isn't ideal, but making your commander just cost 2 to cast from your graveyard is pretty fantastic. And actually, yeah, okay, you can go infinite pretty easy with this. I mean, Phyrexian Altar essentially is going to help you do that, in combination with those 2 Phoenixes. And then also, if, you have something else, which I'll talk about here in a second, yeah, let's just get to it now. Because cards like Molten Echoes, Warstorm Surge, and Pitiless Splendor can help you further. Molten Echoes says, when enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Whenever a non-token creature of the chosen type enters the battlefield under your control, create a token that's a copy of that creature. The token gains haste, exile at the beginning of the next end step. So first up, this is just a fantastic card in a tribal deck like this, essentially giving us 2 Phoenixes for the price of 1. And sometimes not even a price. Again, sometimes these Phoenixes can just kind of bring themselves back depending on what else is going on. Next up, Warstorm Surge can help us dish out even more damage with our Phoenix coming into play. And it says, whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, it deals damage equal to its power to any target. So yeah, again, if we've got any other kind of anthems or pump effects as well, that can make them hit even harder with this too. And then Pitiless Plunderer is an incredible card, and they need to reprint it. I mean, I think this card it's an uncommon, but it's like $11 at this point. It says, whenever another creature you control dies, create a treasure token. Obviously, this kind of a deck, if you've got ways to sacrifice your Phoenixes, or they just, naturally die in combat or whatnot, you can get a ton of treasures out of this, and then use them to cast more Phoenixes, or get some back. But yeah, this in combination with Phyrexian Altar and your little Phoenix combo, have fun. And of course, you can also have fun with cards like Sir Conrad the Grim and Tormad the Desecrator with this deck. Sir Conrad the Grim cares about creatures going here or there or anywhere. It says when another creature dies or a creature card is put into a graveyard from anywhere other than the battlefield, or a creature card leaves your graveyard, Sir Conrad the Grim deals 1 damage to each opponent. So this can ping your opponents for a ton throughout the game, especially with this kind of a deck where you're getting your Phoenixes into your graveyard and then back out of your graveyard and again and again and again, and yeah, this can dish out a lot of damage. And of course, you can also make a massive army with Tormad the Desecrator. It says whenever 1 or more cards leave your graveyard, create a tap 2/2 black zombie creature token. So now when any of our Phoenixes are coming back into play, again, with whatever trigger they have, cool, we also get a 2/2 black zombie. And that can add up a lot throughout the game. But sometimes we just can't wait to get all of our Phoenixes back, so Patriarch Spitting, why not? This is a great tribal card that says each player chooses a creature type. Each player returns all creature cards of a type chosen this way for their graveyard to the battlefield. So if you've got, say 6, 7, 8, whatever Phoenixes in your graveyard, awesome, cast this, get all of them back. This can lead to a massive play, especially again since most of your Phoenixes might have haste, and you can swing and dish out a lot of damage right away with this. But now as this episode is coming to a close, it's time for me to give you my final thoughts on Syrix, Carrier of the Flame. I'd say this is a pretty solid design for a Phoenix commander. Now, again, do keep in mind that there are certain Phoenix out there that might not work all that well with this commander. Again, ones that might be harder to actually bring back because they are pretty specific on what their requirement is. So please, please, please keep that in mind. That being said, a lot of Phoenixes out there work very well with this commander, and there's a lot of exciting things that you can do with it, and ways to take advantage of your creatures going into your graveyard or coming back out, etc, etc, etc. But yeah, I know a lot of players out there have been excited for a Phoenix commander for quite some time, so here you go. And with that, the show is coming to a close, so it's my turn to hear from you. So in the comments below, let me know what your thoughts on this episode are, and as always, thank you again, and have a good one.